Let's settle for the details now. Of course, we zoom straight to the election headquarters because it's just 51 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections, and NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama has taken a direct jab at President Akufo-Addo, suggesting that the president might be sleeping or is not in the country as he responds to the president's challenge on key national issues. Speaking during his tour of the Greater Accra region, and this is the 4th tour in the last few months in Nengo Pram constituency, the former president reiterated his stance on illegal mining. Galamsey stating that while he has outlined his future plans to tackle the menace, the responsibility lies with President Akufo-Addo at the moment. He promised to take immediate action against the menace if elected. President Akufo-Addo 2 days ago challenging former President John Mahama to clearly declare his stance on this matter. Take a listen.
We need somebody who's reliable, whose word can be trusted, who is consistent, and who is clear-minded. And that is why some of us are saying, in fact, the majority of us in Ghana are saying, we want him and Bawumia to debate the issues in our country. Why is John Mahama running away from the debate? Bawumia says he's ready any day for the debate. Why is Mahama running away from the debate? The people of Ghana deserve the debate so they can see, freely, who is doing what and saying what and representing what. Mr. Mahama, which is which? What should the Ghanaian people take from you as your position on the free senior high school? Is it safe with you? Are you going to continue it, or you're going to review it? Are you going to cancel it? None of those do we know from you. Nobody should be allowed to be president who cannot answer these questions straightforward.
Well, we can listen to the former President John Mahama, who's also been out and about campaigning today at Nengo Pram here in the Greater Accra region. He has a response for President Akufo-Addo.
Can come back and continue the good work that he was doing. As Sam George said, President Akufo-Addo said I should come out clearly on Galamsey. It looks like he doesn't live in this country, because I've commented on Galamsey over and over again. The Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources gave political leaders the platform to outline their policy on small-scale mining. And for a whole hour, I outlined our policy. After that, there was questions and answers for 2 hours. We were there for 3 hours. So he should just tell his Flagstaff House media to get him the tape of what I said at the University of Energy. Clearly on my policy on free SHS. Again, he's not in this country, or he has been sleeping, because I have made it clear that there are implementational problems with the free SHS. 1, there's no dedicated funding. 2, parents are not happy with the double track. 3, the quality of food the children are giving is not good. And so I've said that NDC is going to come and fix these 3 things. 1, we're going to corral part of our oil revenues into a dedicated fund, and that fund will be used to finance the free SHS. That's number 1. Number 2, we're going to fast-track the completion of our educational infrastructure so that we can ease the congestion in the schools, employ more teachers, and allow all our children to go to school at the same time, instead of going on a traffic light. And Nana Akufo-Addo 3, I said I'll change your centralized feeding system. I'm going to decentralize the feeding of our children in secondary school. The money is going to go directly to their schools, and their schools will be responsible for procuring the food to feed the children in order that the food will be better quality. If you are listening to me, that is our position on free SHS. We're going to make sure that it works better, its implementation is better, the children have access to textbooks, They have access to good facilities in their schools. We're going to provide laboratories. We're going to provide dormitories. We're going to provide administration blocks. We're going to provide dining halls and all the things that they need to be able to make a good quality learning experience. You see, the issue is a simple one. There are two main reasons why the MPP want to be succeeded by Dr. Bawumia. There are two main reasons. But the first is the most important one. Dr. Bawumia cannot hold this NPP government accountable because he has been a part of what has happened over the last 8 years. He cannot absolve himself from what has been done these last 8 years against the people of Ghana. And so naturally, they want him to succeed them so that they can go home and enjoy the ill-gotten wealth that they have made. And go and...
Right, let's stay with the NDC because the party is hoping to garner all the valid votes in the whole central constituency in the voter range in the upcoming general elections on December 7. With barely 2 months to the polls, the opposition party has intensified campaign activities in the constituency, hoping to achieve this feat to help its presidential candidate, John Mahama, to become the president. There is more in this report.
Viva Mahama! Viva number 3!
The whole central constituency has been a traditional seat of the National Democratic Congress since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1992. The opposition party is not only poised to maintain the seat, but also increase its voting pattern, hoping to sweep 100% of total valid votes on December 7th. A team of old and new party executives and government appointees, among others, are rigorously campaigning for the party's return to power. Addressing the Shian community, the whole central NDC parliamentary candidate, Adam Kofi Potosu, elaborated on his key policies when he became a member of parliament.
Mahama 100%. Viva Mahama! Viva Potosu!
Mr. Potosu, with the support of John and Jane Ladies, redeemed a pledge of providing some medical equipment to the Shia Health Center. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Shia.
All right, let's move away from politics and talk about energy because there's a power crisis looming. Yesterday, several communities were without power for long periods. It also happened the day before until news broke today that independent power producer Sonan Osogli has cut power supply to the national grid for non-payment of debts owed them. The minority spokesperson on energy, John Jinapo, said most of the sector's revenue reserves are being used up because it's failing to make profit to pay its debt, reiterating the need for a wake-up call following the recent shutdown of independent power producer Sonan Osogli over the ECG's staggering debts.
Focus on buying light crude oil. When Talo has declared that they have 100 mm scarf available, if you
of gas,
raw gas. If you put in the second train, you can process that gas. And in 2022, because of crude oil gas import substitution, Ghana made a savings of $1.2 billion. That is the savings we are talking of when you use gas instead of light crude oil. So the system is bleeding and collapsing. That is a fact. Look, crude oil production has declined by 32% since 2019. 32%. Look, Nana, beyond the politics, You talk to the industry experts, talk to independent minds. Everybody is very concerned about Ghana's reputation in the energy sector. And Adako is left. ExxonMobil is left. ENI just won a court case against Ghana. ENI is moving its headquarters to Cote d'Ivoire. And so clearly, there are serious challenges in the sector. On the back of the envelope, our rough estimate shows that you need about $2.6 to $2.8 billion to clear the energy sector pipeline. Last week, President Mahama and myself as a team met the World Bank. This was reinforced. We met the IMF. This was reinforced. It remains the single most threatening sector as far as the economy is concerned. And they told us that if we don't do something about it, there will be a second debt default. Because as they keep drawing down on your LCs, it means that you are vulnerable, you are exposed, and now they are even threatening to shut down the pipeline. WAPCO, I can show you the letter here. Over just 12 million, they are threatening to shut down the pipeline.
All right.
Look, all is not well in this sector, and that is a fact. And because of that, we are now seeing the repercussions, where from January, and they appeared before the committee, Honorable Atachian was the chairman. Contrary to what Napo was saying, before the committee and under oath, all the industry players confirmed and agreed that they were shedding load. And that they were shedding load because of shortage of fuel. In fact, Honorable Atachian wrote the report and signed it and delivered it to the president, not to the minister. I can share that with you. So I think that we should stop this ostrich approach, concede that all is not well, right, and deal with the challenges confronting us.
No.
So let's understand the situation in the power sector, and Kofi-Addo joins me for my research. Kofi, so what is it? What are you reading from the power sector?
I mean, we've been observing and analyzing data from the PRC's validation report. This whole thing has to do with cash, money. And the best way to go about it is to analyze the inflows in the cash waterfall mechanism. Remember that the cash waterfall mechanism was actually revised in August 2023. Right. And big players, big IPP players like Sonana Sogli are supposed to benefit or are entitled to $7 million of payment every month. What we understand from the data that we've looked at so far is that the last time that Sonana Sogli was paid under the cash waterfall mechanism was in April of this year, where they were paid that $7 million. Now, if you look at...
So between April and now,
and now no payment. Money. They are, between April and now, they were supposed to be paid $21 million. If we go by the last payment validation report that was put out by the PRC on their website, May, $7 million, June, $7 million, and July, $7 million, amounting to $21 million. So far, that money has not been paid to Sonana Sogli now. And in fact, they put out yesterday that they are being owed $259 million. Definitely, Sonana Sogli is not requesting for the entire
money to be paid.
Debt to be paid. But if you want a template, then in December 2023, a similar thing happened where they threatened to shut down. And we understand that government had to cough up $60 million there and there to settle some of the debt that they owe them. And that $60 million came in two tranches, $30 million in the first month and an additional $30 million in the second month. And they decided to rescind or suspend their planned shutdown. This time around, we do not know if negotiations actually went on, but we understand that their 560 megawatt power plant, which is a gas-fire powered thermal plant, has been shut down.
Do we know the amount of megawatts they are taking away?
Yes, we know. The 560 megawatts is about 10% of the country's dependable capacity. If you look at the big IPP players, Sonana Sogli is one of the big guys, although you have other big guys like the Cent Power and AXA who are on board are able to bring a lot. But Sonana Sogli, its production is about the consumption of, let's say, a region like Kumasi or the Western region. 560 megawatts is huge. We understand that at the beginning of the year when we had the power struggles or the power challenges, it was because of that shortfall of between 505 megawatts and 510 megawatts. And so at the same time, you're having Sonana Sogli taking more than that out of the energy mix, which means that if government is not able to find an alternative, maybe at the moment they can manage the situation, but in the long run, we are going to feel the impact of Sonana Sogli's absence.
It's interesting that Sonana Sogli, an IPP, is complaining because we've always been under the impression that as far as the cash waterfall mechanism is concerned, the IPPs were always taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that since April up until now, they are yet to receive any payment for the power they've produced for the country.
Definitely, you're right. I mean, the IPPs under the cash waterfall mechanism are classified as, category A. So it means any form of flows that in terms of revenue that ECG will get in terms of the payment, IPPs are considered first. Because in terms of the current generation mix, they produce the thermal, power, and they account for about 60% of Ghana's dependable capacity. At every point in time, you cannot have the IPPs going off-stream. That is why they are classified as A. But we understand that, remember, somewhere around June, July, I think August or so, the finance minister came out that some 5 IPPs have agreed
to restructure the debt.
Exactly, to take some haircut. But we understand that they negotiated with 7 IPPs and only 5 agreed to take the haircut. And per the data that we have and what was put out by the finance minister, Sonana Sogli was one of the IPPs that did not participate in the restructuring or government could not come to proper agreement with Sonana Sogli. And since then, we've not seen government making payment to Sonana Sogli. So many experts have said that government is using the tactics of what they call divide and rule, where they are going ahead to make advance payment to those who agreed with the restructuring. And if you did not agree to take a haircut, then we pay you as and when you want. We do not have enough data to actually back that, but we understand that Sonana Sogli was one of the IPPs that did not agree to that.
I mean, I do understand, and for example, the PURC called for stakeholders' input to fine-tune the cash waterfall mechanism. My understanding is that the review is over, and information I'm picking is that PRC, the board has met with ECG board and the Ministry of Energy. They've come to an understanding that ECG should move its collection from 45% to 98% under the revised cash flow mechanism. And the expectation is that if they are able to do so, there will be a lot of money available on a monthly basis to pay all the players in the industry. Currently, they are doing 45. They are moving it from 45 to 98%, over 50% increment. From your analysis, are they capable of doing this collection?
I mean, ECG is capable of doing the collection, but one other hurdle has to do with the exchange rate situation. Remember that at the beginning of the year, ECG was working with an exchange rate of $1 to 11 cedis, 90-something pesos.
Right.
Remember that ECG produce almost all their power in dollars, and they do the revenue collection in cedis. So anytime they are at the point of making their debt servicing obligation, they are caught within a certain tight web where the exchange rate situation always affects ECG. Now, if you look at the validation report put out by the PRC, ECG now needs to move their exchange rates from $1 to 11 cedis, 95 pesos, to now somewhere around 14 cedis, 90-something pesos. The current payment, ECG would definitely move the benchmark to somewhere around 15 cedis or 16 cedis. So that tells you that ECG can go ahead in the short run to collect more revenue. But when it comes to converting this revenue to paying the IPPs, because the IPPs are being paid in dollars, and converting that money to dollars is always what is causing the shortfalls, the energy sector shortfalls. In previous years, the government would have come in to pay off the shortfalls, but currently we are under an IMF program, so they are now precluded from doing such interventions. And what we understand is that the finance ministry, which is supposed to be the only government entity on this cash waterfall mechanism in terms of paying top-ups.
$10 million every month.
Absolutely. And since August 2023, the finance ministry has not been able to meet their part of the bargain. And many have said that if the finance ministry is able to come on board and pay their monthly top-ups, maybe the ACG will not find itself in.
The other concern here from VRA especially, and then VRA officials are saying that correspondence they have indicates that the IPPs are also demanding a revision of the monthly payment from, I think, $45 million to $59 million. And VRA, for example, says that if the $59 million is accepted, it will amount to all the collections of ECG going to pay only the IPPs. And already they are having issues. Gitro, for example, we are told sometimes finds it difficult paying salary of their workers because inflows from ECG does not come on time. So clearly there are issues with cash flow in the energy sector. And here's the case, one player has taken his plant offline. Wondering, there's a fear that the IMF intervention may suffer and other interventions may suffer as well. If things are not resolved going forward, what do you anticipate will happen?
I mean, if you look at the Sonona Sogli is a big player in the IPP space. And one thing that we must pray that must not happen is what we call the cascading effect or the snowball effect, where Sonona Sogli has now been seen by some of the IPPs that, look, they've actually gone ahead to shut down because they don't have the money. They've been producing, they don't have the money, so they've shut down. We are only hoping that other IPPs will also not take such actions, because if you look at the July validation report put out by the PRC, almost all the IPPs were not paid their entitlement under the cash waterfall mechanism. And some of them are still expecting their payment. I'm sure ECG is going ahead with other payment. But if they look at their debt and say, look, big brother like Sonona Sogli is off, they've decided to shut down, maybe let me also follow the same path. If they begin to do so, then that will become very problematic for the country, and we could face one of the biggest energy sector crises in terms of the power outages. We should possibly pray or hope that government is able to use the tactics they used in December 2023 to, restrain Sonona Sogli when they tried to do the shutdown in that time. I mean, now they've gone ahead, but what is government doing to make sure that they come back, on stream? Because 560 megawatts, trust me, is very significant.
Of course. Kofi, thank you so much for coming through. Let's stay on this matter because senior staff of the Volta River Authority, they stormed Parliament this morning to demand the immediate withdrawal of some bills seeking to merge VRA with Bupa Authority. The staff say the proposed merger is just a ploy to sell of VRA and Bui assets to private interests. Herbert Krapper assured the senior staff government will no longer pursue the bill in Parliament, but they want more. They are demanding that the bill is withdrawn entirely from Parliament, despite the fact that they are yet to be laid. Listen to the chairman of the VRA Senior Staff Association, Theophilus Tetanya, addressing journalists in Parliament.
And in that meeting, he agreed that he is coming to withdraw the bills because the points that we have adduced in our petitions are so cogent that he realized that they have to withdraw those bills. As we speak, we have been in the Parliament House for 2 consecutive days, and nothing of that sort has been brought to the floor of Parliament that they are withdrawing that bill. That tells us that, well, we don't know whether we can say that we do not trust the minister, but we hope that he will do the needful to withdraw those bills because they are not to serve the purpose and also to save Ghanaians from the current situation in which we are. Look, ECG's bill is billed by the IPPs in dollars. ECG sell the power to Ghanaians in cedis. So ECG's problem currently, as you are aware, the paper PURC wrote to the government on ECG almost nearing bankruptcy is because we are having a lot of foreign exchange losses. And that is what is impacting. The problem is how do we resolve this problem? And it is not about selling VRA assets. If we finish selling, what we mean is that 75% of our energy demand in this country will be in the hands of private people. And what will be the result? Whenever they get up that we are fed up, you are owing us, they will shut down just like Azogli has done. And we are saying that the good people of this country must listen to us, they should support us to resist this measure which is intended to sell the asset of VRA. Let me also say that the Volta River Authority is so efficient, it's well managed. It is 63 years old. VRA is one of the among one of the best hydro generating plants in the world. Out of 350 hydro generation plants in the world, VRA is ranked 3rd. And that tells you the professionalism that we've used to manage. So what is the reason that they want? Secondly, Bui is also doing very well. Records at SIGA shows that for the past 3 years, Bui is making profit. They are even breaking new frontiers. They are building more renewable plants. We are saying that allow Bui also to develop in that line so that they bring the needed competition into the industry.
Right, so the senior staff members are still locked up in a meeting with the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament to present their concerns after addressing the media. I'll have details for you after that meeting today. Let's take a short break and return with more here on the Pulse. Welcome back to the show. Let me take you to Parliament, where the Speaker, Alban Babin, is set to decide the fate of 4 MPs whose seats the minority have demanded he declare vacant. Speaker Alban Babin, after a fierce debate on Tuesday, indicated his ruling will be delivered today. We are waiting to have that come true. But even ahead of that ruling expected today, some MPs have been sharing their thoughts on the matter at stake. And a memo has been sent to the Speaker's office. The author is a member of Parliament from Praiso, Davis Opoku, and he joins me on the line. Honorable OPK, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you very much, my brother.
So this memo, what exactly are you seeking to achieve with it? Is it something that you intend to be a subject of consideration on the floor, or this is for the Speaker's ears and eyes only?
Well, this is a matter of public discussion, and I think it's important that as a lawmaker, I also make my views known on the subject. I currently am out of town, and I monitored proceedings yesterday, and I realized that most of the discussions that were being raised, most of the issues that were being raised, centered on what our standing order says, and also making reference to a precedent that was set by Right Honorable Professor Michael Quay in the last Parliament. So my memo to the Speaker was to urge the Speaker to vary the position as set forth by the Right Honorable Professor Michael Quay, because for me, I see a clear variation, a clear deviation from the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And it's important that we protect the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. I mean, that is the supreme law of the land. And whatever we do, it's important that we hold it in high esteem. I mean,
you affirm that Speaker Michael Quay I spoke to yesterday, in this memo that you've written to the Speaker, you are convinced that he was wrong in declaring the Formina seat vacant in 2022.
I strongly believe that the Speaker was wrong in declaring the Formina seat vacant. You see, at the heart of this, for me, it's issues of representation. We seem to be taking lightly the struggle, the toil of Ghanaians in queuing to go and vote for somebody as their representative. Now, an MP comes to Parliament, he decides that in a future election, the possibility of him winning, I mean, is not really guaranteed. But he decides that in a future election, I would want to contest on the ticket of, let's say, the MPP or the NDC or as an independent candidate. But as we speak, in this current dispensation, in this Parliament, is representing a group of people on the ticket of a political party.
Right.
For me, if you were to look at Article 97 in its entirety, you clearly, what the Constitution sought to do, what the framers sought to do, was to protect the decision that the Ghanaian people took on using mass event. I mean, they were convinced based on the ideology that the candidate espoused. They were convinced based on the reasoning that the political party gave, and they voted a particular member of parliament in parliament. Now, Article 97 G clearly states that it clearly gives a voluntary action. I mean, until the member of parliament decides that I am resigning, until the member of parliament decides that he's crossing the aisle, a political party cannot sit somewhere and say that because you have flouted my rules, because you have decided that in the next parliament, you are going to contest as an independent person and per our rules as a political party. Once you do that, you forfeit your membership of the political party. So we are writing to Parliament to say that get off. We don't want you anymore. For me, it defeats the idea of representation. For me, it's something that we all as a people must come together and say that no, we should not give people the opportunity to decide when, especially people have queued, when people have taken a decision that this is a person that we want him to lead us. And once the Constitution is clear about it, no other rule, not the political party's rule, not the standing orders of Parliament, not anybody's opinion should reign supreme over what the Constitution does.
But Davis, Professor Michael Quay's justification is that, I mean, in 2020, the MPP came to see him, and then they followed it up with a formal letter from the General Secretary of the party saying that this member of ours is no longer a member of the party. He's gone, he's gone rogue, and for that reason, he's not here serving our interests. And so you can go ahead and declare the seat vacant. The Speaker says he gave the MP in question opportunity to respond to the allegation against him, and for over 1 week, the MP did not respond. And so he was left with no option than to take that action to declare the seat vacant. He says that the situation we have on our hand now is different because there's no complainant. Even though the Constitution doesn't reference any correspondence that should come from a political party, by convention, by the Parliamentary Act and your standing order, he is clothed with the power to go by that directive and say that based on this directive coming from the party, I can go ahead and effect the change. You say that it is still not right?
Well, for me, I think that Speaker Quay got it wrong. I will not mince words. I mean, for a political party to write to you saying that Mr. OPK has flouted our rules, and because of that, we want you to take him out. It defeats the argument of representation. For Christ's sake, the political party only nominates a candidate for. And it is for that reason why, if there's a by-election somewhere, let's say an MP dies and we are to replace the member of parliament who has died, the political party is not waiting to bring a nominee or to replace the person. We go back to the people who decide, the Ghanaian people. They take that decision. And that is why we spend lots of monies in going for by-election and ensuring that the people who vote to elect a representative do that, and not the political party. Yes, the political party may have a choice, but the final decision does not lie with the political party. In my constituency, what is the argument that it's only MPP people that voted for me? When you do that, then now people's appreciation. For instance, in this parliament, we saw MPs rising up to say that Ken must go. And they did that with the conviction that it was important to restore some level of confidence in the economy. The MPP now says that, okay, those number of MPs that did Ken must go, we have written to the Speaker of Parliament and we want them out. Then what do we make of parliamentary supremacy? What do we make, the independence of Parliament? Please, it is the Constitution that is protecting the members of Parliament. The tenure of the member of Parliament and its protection come from the 1992 Constitution and not the MPP Constitution and not the standing orders of the Parliament of House.
Okay, you just hold it for me. Let me bring in Dr. Akufo-Addo, and I'll come back to ask you, so what do you want the Speaker to do today as he prepares to deliver his ruling on the fate of the 4 MP? But Dr. Machi is a political scientist. So, Dr. Machi, I mean, observing what is happening keenly, I mean, the argument for and against, depending on where you stand. The position of the minority is that they deserve to go. The majority says that no, the situation is different from what happened in 2020. Clearly, the composition of Parliament is at stake here. That could be a motivation behind who is making what and who is responding to what. But as a political scientist, what, from your understanding, what really is happening and how should this be handled by the Speaker of Parliament?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Actually, it's an interesting debate. But I'd like to believe that the Constitution is clear. One thing is that, one, the issue of protecting the interests of the electorates is there. But then it places emphasis on the vehicle through which one gets to Parliament. You've got to take note of that. You know, it talks about, I'm quoting it, a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election.
Right.
It is so clear. In political science, we call it the mandate model. The mandate that members of Parliament have, in the case of those who operated in the context of political parties, that mandate is given to the party and not necessarily to the individual member of Parliament. That is what the Constitution does. The mandate is not necessarily given to the individual. Otherwise, the individual should be able to cross carpet at any material moment in time.
Right.
Then there wouldn't have been the need for this particular clause. That is the first thing I'm establishing. And then two, that portion is not necessarily looking at the next Parliament. No. Politics essentially emphasizes the what is. And this particular provision is interested in the status of members of Parliament in the current Parliament. That is why a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in the current Parliament if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election. It is not saying anything about what is going to happen tomorrow.
And then, and currently as you speak, currently as you speak, the members in question are all in Parliament on a ticket of either the MPP or the NDC. So you say what?
Now let's ask this question. We go to the Constitution of the MPP and then the NDC and ask ourselves this question. What do these constitutions say about one's ability to stand as a parliamentary candidate on their ticket? Do they allow non-members to do that?
No.
Then that is it. The moment you declare, if you go to the Electoral Commission, and Member of Parliament A has filed, as things stand now, to participate in the parliamentary elections on the ticket of any party, it implies that that person has become a member of that party.
Right.
You see,
the standing, please let me learn, the standing of that person in the current Parliament has changed. That person is not necessarily the same person in the vehicle that brought him or her to Parliament. If you came in as an independent candidate, that is the vehicle that brought you. If we go to the Electoral Commission now and we find out that you have filed on the ticket of any other party, your standing in Parliament has changed.
And so?
It has changed. And that is what the Constitution is saying. You vacate your seat.
OPK, you have a response to this? Yes. Honorable, if you can unmute for me.
I said I do have.
Yes, please.
I think first of all, is it okay now?
Yes, please go on. We can hear you.
In the Zenato Ajima Rawlings case, what the Supreme Court said was that the constitution of the land overrides any internal party arrangements. I mean, any internal parliamentary procedures, and it is well established in the Zenato case. Two, Professor Martin raises an issue of whether or not if a political party can select a non-member as a parliamentary candidate, and I say yes. And a classical example is what happened in Bimbilla, in the Bimbilla by-election, where Dominic Nitiwo, who was not a member of the MPP, was selected by the party to represent them in the House. If you were to take a critical look at the MPP constitution, what it says is that, I mean, despite all the primaries that we go through, despite all the acrimonious elections that usually happens in MPP, at the end of the day, the National Executive Committee and the National Council of the party are the bodies mandated to select the persons thereof. And so I won in price of primaries in January, but during the selection process and during the submission process to the Electoral Commission, the National Council can decide that no, per our rules or per our research, there's a more popular person who is standing on the ticket of the PNC, and for that matter, we want to go and pick him to contest the ticket of the MPP. It is done. There's no law that bars the political party in doing that. But let us not dwell so much.
But that would make nonsense of the party's own internal arrangement before getting to this stage.
Because in the Zenato case, it rubbishes that. Two, you see, what we are talking about, and we seem not to value and appreciate what representation really does. Today, the people of SAR are crying heavily that they do not have representation in Parliament. People have queued to go and vote for a particular person as their member of Parliament. And now we want to use a political party's rule to judge them. Yes, I agree. But if you look at what the Constitution itself does, you see, and in trying to stick a member of Parliament to the political party on which he or she came into Parliament. I mean, the reasoning is that you came in with an ideology, you came in with a vision, you came in with a particular message, and the Constitution, the people want to hold you responsible. And that is why the Constitution frowns on, during your term of service, during your term as a member of Parliament, you cannot cross carpet. These people, during their term of serving as MPs, have not crossed carpet. The only thing they are doing is that they have given an intention that in the near future, in the 9th Parliament, not in the 8th Parliament, not in the 8th Parliament, in the 9th Parliament, I want to present myself to my people as MPP candidate or as an independent candidate. Now, it beholds on the people to select them and not the political party and not Parliament.
But David, so
to select them to represent.
OPK, are you suggesting that once the person is in Parliament like yourself, you represent the people from Pride, so you are saying that the MPP should have no role whatsoever in determining your future, so long as you are a certain member of Parliament?
No, you see,
in terms of how you conduct yourself, in terms of what you do, the party cannot influence any decision of the Speaker regarding you?
No, the party can. The party can, and that is why I belong to the New Patriotic Party. And so when I err in the New Patriotic Party, I need to be punished. But in punishing me for erring, you cannot write to the Speaker to say because OPK has erred, because OPK has gone to insult the presidential candidate, or because OPK has gone to do this, because of that, take him out of Parliament. That one, the party do not have the right to do so. And you see, this argument about because they belong to a political party and they have decided to switch in an election that is coming, we really would want to lock them and curtail their rights. I mean, Article 21, 1E of our Constitution gives us the right to freedom of association. And so today, I've decided that in this 4 years of my tenure as a member of parliament, I want to dine with the MPP. Now, I really would want to contest again as a member of parliament. But in doing so, in the next parliament, I want to come on the ticket or as an independent person. And you are saying that that person do not have the right to do that. Let us not allow political parties that power to influence such decisions.
Why
For
do you
me,
think
it is wrong. It's against the constitution of the land.
And briefly on this before I bring in Dr. Amacho, why do you think the MPP in 2020 took this action? Is it because they have so many members, more than the NDC, and for that reason, a single member going rogue was not going to have any effect on the strength in parliament? Now they are unable to do so because doing so will land them in the way. It's about principles and about standing for what you believe in. Looks like you are shifting the post.
See, I am surprised and I'm maybe worried. I mean, if you were to talk to people internally, then they would have told you that for me personally, I was against it. Sometimes I believe in sitting down and jojoing and all of that, but it has happened. But for the fact that it has happened, we should not allow this to be a precedent that to be followed by successive parliaments. And that is why I am calling on the Right Honorable Speaker Bagbin to cut it short. I mean, it is wrong. It's against people's representation. It's against people's right of freedom. It's against parliamentary independence and democracy. And it's important that we uphold the constitution of the land, not a constitution of a political party. Because in the Zenato case, the Supreme Court clearly states that the constitution is supreme.
Dr. Amacho.
Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah, please go on. I mean, you've heard the arguments again advanced by OPK.
In the first place,
clearly, the parties should have no role in these matters.
Well, I think the Constitution decides everything. And I don't think it is the party's stance that is playing out here. If there were no provision in the Constitution to this effect, the parties would not be able to, put one into it. So we are not necessarily looking at any party's constitution. I think the interpretation of this thing, eventually will be done by the experts. But at the moment, my understanding is this. One, the Izinatos case does not necessarily apply here. Because when we bring in the constitution of the party, we only try to understand one thing: membership of political parties. Membership of political parties. Because the constitution emphasizes that, one leaving the party of which he was a member. So in trying to establish membership of political parties in respect of the affected individuals, we will only have to follow on the constitution of the parties, what their parties say concerning membership. How do their party's constitution define membership? At this material moment in time, let's take it one after the other. The gentleman who was an independent candidate and is now desiring or has decided to, go into the next elections on the ticket of the MPP. This decision had to be taken ahead of time before the end of the current parliament.
Right.
The decision has been taken now. You go to the EC to find out exactly how he filed his documents. He did so on the ticket of the MPP. What are the implications of this now? So you see, time is the issue. People seem to argue that if this had taken place earlier, then there might have been the need for some action to be taken and then their seats taken away. But because now we have just 2 months to the next elections and the focus appears to be on the next elections, their current standing is immaterial. But that is not what the Constitution is saying. The Constitution is not futuristic on this particular issue. It is not futuristic. It is relating to the current situation. So you ask the question, what are the standings of these people? Do they now come out as members of particular political organizations? Yes. They have taken their this thing and filed on their tickets. Their party members have also indicated to provide support or evidence of support. You know, their signatures have been collected and presented to the Electoral Commission. If we do this investigation, this information, pieces of information will come out clearly. So looking at it, time should not be a deciding factor that we have barely 2 months to go, and for that matter, they are looking forward to the next parliament. The focus is not on the current parliament. Because of that, their current standing should not be an issue. So over there, you have if these are accepted into the interpretation, then we have a lot of ambiguities in that particular provision that will have to be looked at.
Right.
Otherwise, as it stands now, it focuses on their current standing. Are they members of particular political parties? Are they independent members as they stand now? If you say yes, then that's it. Their seats should be, they should vacate their seats.
But currently they are not.
Currently, I like to believe that if they have taken, tickets on other parties, they have taken other parties' tickets. They are members of those parties. If currently they have decided to go independent, and interestingly, both the MPP and the NDC's constitution immediately takes you out the moment you decide to go independent. Automatically, their constitutions take you out. So over there, we don't have any dispute there. Those who have declared to go independent, they have automatically taken themselves out of those parties.
Okay.
Their current standing as individuals in parliament now is that they are independent. They are not members of the party that brought them into your head.
It is the 8th parliament we are talking about. The next election is the 9th parliament. So currently, if I should go to parliament and I'm addressing the second deputy speaker outside his role as second deputy speaker, I will obviously address him as the independent member of parliament for Fomena. The same way, if I should address Cynthia Morris, and I'll address her as the MPP member of parliament for Amenfi East. So clearly, in terms of the 8th parliament, they will still maintain their portfolio. You say
that is if the 8th parliament doesn't interpret that, if you like, provision in the constitution rigidly. That is if the interpretation of changing one's character, moving from the vehicle that brought you into the parliament and then taking up another one. If he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election. So we can ask the question, have these people left their parties, those who have picked, who have gone independent, have they left their parties? If we answer yes, they have left their parties.
Because clearly you can conclude by saying that they are, in their various constituencies, they are obviously campaigning against the established candidates of the party.
They have left their parties. So clearly, the party's constitution automatically take them out. The moment you go independent, the party's constitution automatically take them out.
So what do you want the speaker to do? Dr. Amachi, what do you want the speaker to do?
Sorry?
The
speaker should interpret things in this same manner. I call it a common sense interpretation of that provision.
And take them out?
You see, let me use my understanding of biblical interpretation. It's only when people don't want to be sincere that they try to say that certain things are very difficult. The Bible has said it. There's nothing like that. Things are to be taken on their face value unless you have ambiguities. I will apply the same common sense approach to the interpretation of the current provision that we are looking at. Simple and straight. Have they left their parties? If you answer yes, period, then that is it. The speaker should act accordingly. Are they still members of their party? If you answer yes, the speaker should act accordingly, period.
And that should be done without the possibility or the room for official complaint from the parties?
I think somebody has triggered this instrument already. You know, the Speaker has only got to check with the Electoral Commission to verify the facts. The Speaker does not necessarily need to wait for anyone to come and complain and do any such thing. The Constitution doesn't make provision for that. Okay. The Constitution is only interested in their standing as they are in Parliament.
All right.
How did they come in? Are they still in that same situation? Period.
All right, Dr. Akufo-Addo, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I'll go back to OPK. Yes, I'll go back to OPK shortly, but let me take you to Parliament now and get to understand what is happening on the floor. Is the House ready to consider this matter? Koko Asante is our parliamentary correspondent, as you join me via. Koko, is the House in session?
Well, the House hasn't started sitting yet. It's almost 5 o'clock, and this is quite unprecedented because there's been no information as to what exactly is happening. The Speaker of Parliament hasn't come into the chamber at all. You can see behind me a handful of MPs who are engaged in conversations tete-a-tete here and there, but the proceeding itself hasn't commenced. In fact, today, it wasn't billed to be a very heavy day, apart from the bills that the House was considering, and a number of these key issues that have come up, particularly having to do with these 4 MPs. We expected not much to happen. And in fact, the Speaker of Parliament, we understood, had been in his office and since morning, but he hasn't come here to the conference center where the dome is being used as a makeshift chamber of Parliament. So proceedings hasn't commenced. We have no information what exactly is happening. Very few MPs still on the floor who are still talking among each other, obviously expecting that the Speaker of Parliament will come in and govern the House in session. This is quite also a bit unprecedented because the Speaker has deputies. Ordinarily, the first Deputy Speaker should preside over the House while the Speaker is perhaps busy with other things. But he hasn't come here. The second Deputy Speaker, Andrew Amakrusiyama, is also caught up in this legal dispute that is currently raging on, and so cannot be here, obviously, and hasn't been here since the House reconvened from its break for nearly 3 months. So that is the situation here in Parliament. There is no business, nothing happening, no information, no news in terms of what exactly is happening. In fact, as of now, we do not have any indication if the House will even sit at all, or perhaps the information will just come that the House is perhaps adjourning to tomorrow, or the House can also trigger proceedings under the standing orders to appoint someone else to preside, because the new standing orders make provisions for a member presiding. That has not been used in this meeting so far, and as we sit here, we do not have any indication whether or not that is going to happen. So, Elton, that is the situation here. Literally empty on the majority side, a few of them seated. I can see a few NDC MPs as well, Mahama and the likes, who are engaged in a conversation. This matter is a big conversation in Parliament today. MPs talking about themselves, expecting that something big is going to happen. An announcement will be made as to whether or not these 4 seats will be declared vacant, or the course of path that the Speaker of Parliament is going to charter. But so far, no news.
But you have been nosing around. I mean, we are picking information that the Speaker may possibly announce that this matter be referred to a special committee for them to further investigate and then report to the House for the necessary, resolution to be made. What exactly are you picking on this matter?
Well, yes, Elton, as of this morning, we had been trying to get some information as to what exactly the Speaker was going to do. And the news coming in is that the Speaker may decide that instead of outrightly declaring these seats vacant, he's going to go the way of the natural justice rule, to hear from these persons at least before you pass judgment on them. So we understand the Speaker of Parliament may decide that this must go before a committee. The committee will investigate the fact. Specifically, have these members actually filed for independence? This is something that the Committee of Parliament itself would have to get from the Electoral Commission. And so that will have to be done before Parliament will take a decision. So that is the information I get. You're right, that the Speaker may decide that, listen, let's start a special committee. Let's refer this matter to them. Let's give them a very short time to work on these issues that have come up. And then, based on that, the House can take a decision. So, Honorable Pochum very much around. If I can just get something brief from him about the situation in Parliament. Honorable, briefly, not even in terms of the sitting itself, the hearing, but sitting hasn't started. It's almost 5 p.m. What exactly is happening? Leadership, do you have any information?
No, I mean, I don't have any. But the Speaker has assured the House that, so I think the Speaker is attending to some meetings. He has some meetings that assignment that he wants to, I think, finish.
But the two other deputies are members of the caucus. Joe Wise hasn't been around. Andrew Amakwesiama isn't around. What is the situation? Do you have any information on that?
No. But they are well. I know. This
country, okay.
IP, okay. And I think second deputy is also around. I don't know whether.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, this is a big matter that is regional. I don't think I can see you, interview you, and let you go without asking you about that. Where do you stand on this? Your colleague OPK is on Joy News right now. He's making a position that the speaker cannot listen to the minority and declare these seats vacant, and that they need to take a further look at this. Is that a position you agree with? Or you side with the minority that you should go into the minority?
Clearly, the speaker must take his time, must be able to appreciate the grey areas before making such an announcement. You cannot deny the good people of the process, Abuna West, Sunum, Fomena, and Amenfi, etc. They are right to present it.
Well, Sal hasn't been represented in this parliament in 2020. Fomena didn't have representation up until the election. So the president has been said.
But do we need to continue that? We don't need to. That was wrong. Yeah. And we should not entertain. And we must correct such mistakes. And I think it's a time that we think to correct such mistakes.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable. So that is the situation out there. The MPP MP says that the president that was said in the past was wrong. He does not believe that. That must be entertained. That must continue. And in their view, just like OPK has said, the Speaker of Parliament must carry slowly in deciding whether or not to declare these seats vacant. Okay.
But the embattled 4 MPs, are they in the chamber? Have you spotted them?
Well, it's 3 days since Parliament resumed from its long break. A number of them have not been here at all. MP for Aguna West, Cynthia Morrison, has not been in Parliament throughout this meeting. In fact, the extraordinary emergency she wasn't here. The Andrew Amakwesiama has also not been here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. He hasn't also been here. And then there is Kojas and MP for Swum. He has also not been here since proceedings started. And it's only Peter Yakwachiaka who was here last 2 days and yesterday, but has not been here today. Obviously, we expect that he might have been gone back to the constituency because of the situation where Amenfi Central, the NDC candidate having been disqualified, a lot of work downs having to be done there. So today, that was expected to be a judgment day on their political field. None of them have been on the floor. And you heard me there asking the Member of Parliament what exactly the situation is with Andrew Amakwesiama. Because on days like this, where the Speaker of Parliament is caught up in other business, he would have presided over the House, but he is also not here. So that is the situation, and it's a strong arm the House a little bit. But these 4 MPs, whose fates are hanging in the balance, none of them here, obviously, I'm sure they'll be keeping an ear to the ground. The Speaker of Parliament decide on their fate and decide that based on the precedent set in 2020, the seat should be declared vacant, or he'll give them a hearing by this committee that we are hearing who we set up to do this business, or whatever decision the Speaker may be willing to take on this.
Thank you so much. Kokwa Sante is our parliamentary correspondent. We're keeping an eye on this very important matter. We'll take you back to Parliament when the House is in sessions and clear whether the Speaker will call the House to session or they may call off today's sitting. But whatever it is, there's a decision that must be taken on the floor. The Speaker has a decision to make, and we await the Speaker's decision on this matter. Let me allow Honorable Davis Opoku to wrap us up on this conversation. So, in your final brief, you expect the Speaker to just say the people should continue to do their work as MPs?
Yes, I expect the Speaker to do so. I say this with based on the fact that if you look at Article 97(1)(g) and H, these articles maintain some level of stability and consistency in parliamentary representation within a single parliamentary term. Now, if you look at the 97(1)(g), it says, leave the party of which they were a member at the time of their election to Parliament to join another party or seek to remain in Parliament as an independent member. This language here clearly refers to actions within the current term of Parliament. And the phrase "seek to remain in Parliament" says it all. So please let us not be so much fixated with what will happen in the future. These are MPs that have been elected by their people to serve them based on a certain message they give them. They are doing so. They have not written any letter to the speaker to say otherwise. They have not crossed carpet. They have not crossed the aisle. And for me, that should be that. Allow them to do their work, let Parliament function, and let's move on as a country.
Right, 51 days to the election. Thank you very much, Honorable. But you are not in Parliament today.
No, I am out of the country. I'm on a parliamentary assignment, so out of the country.
Sure. The Member of Parliament from Pricing the Eastern Region, Honorable Davis Ansan Opoku, of course, you heard Dr. Akufo-Addo, political scientist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, of course, our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, who tells us the House is still not in session yet. It's unclear what is happening. But the decision, one way or the other, will have to be made by the Speaker of Parliament. We'll take a short break here on the pause and return with more on Joy News. You're welcome back to the show, and we are about wrapping up. But before we do, poor hygiene could have devastating consequences on one's health when disease such as cholera, diarrhea, and others set in. Bawumia Africa, through its Alive soap brand, believes this could be avoided if hand washing is inculcated in children. Brand's manager, non-food categories, Mahama Adwo Nsifo Markin, says the Alive soap remains committed to educating Ghanaians on good hygiene. She disclosed this to Joy News as part of the Global Hand Washing Day with the pupils of Archbishop-Addo Catholic Basic School in Tema.
Launched in 2018, Alive Soap has embarked on hand washing campaign to educate Ghanaians, especially children. The hand washing drive became much important than ever with the outbreak of COVID-19 and life after the pandemic. It was all fun for the children and teachers at Archbishop-Addo Roman Catholic Basic School at Tema as the Alive Soap team from Bawumia Africa sensitized them. Brand's manager, non-food categories, Mahama Adwo Nsifo Markin, is reminding Ghanaians that clean hands and observing good hygiene can help prevent diseases such as cholera and diarrhea.
So we are taking this Global Hand Washing Day celebration as an opportunity to remind ourselves that, look, COVID is gone, but we still have diseases around which are carried on by bacteria and other disease-causing germs. And so let's continue to wash our hands the right way so that we don't have these diseases in our system, in our communities. Yes, so at Bawumia, where we produce Alive is a personal wash soap where we try to provide quality products for everybody to observe good personal hygiene. So for us to also pick just the hand and then emphasize on the importance of keeping clean hands all the time. That's the reason why we decided to embark on this in the school today. So we want to entreat all Ghanaians to continue to wash their hands properly, observe good personal hygiene, and then patronize Alive.
Meanwhile, headmaster of Archbishop-Addo Roman Catholic Basic School, Richard Kafuyi-Paku, is happy Alive Soap brand has extended its sensitization to the school.
It's been a very great day because it's been a while since we observed this. We've been observing it every year, but not in this style. We did it on our own, but today we are privileged to be selected among two schools within the metropolis. And then I think we could even see how cheerful and happy the learners are. That shows that it has been a very great day. Next year, if you come, every year if you come, we are ever ready to receive you. And then it's something that I would like you to continue supporting us. First of all, emphasizing the need again to let the learners clean their hands during the critical moment. And then why it is important to clean their hands. I think they were educated on that. And some of them, they were reminded because they already know about it. Teachers on special occasion advise and educate them on the importance of hand cleaning. But when others also come from outside and so add their voice, I think education will go down deep into them.
The Alive Soap brand under Bawumia Africa Limited is committed to good hygiene of Ghanaians.
Right, so that's our show for today, Thursday. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Stories on myjoyonline.com. I know my level. I won't elevate Bawumia by debating him. That's former President Mahama to President Akufo-Addo. Anyone can report an MP who crosses carpet or opt to run as independent candidate. That's Professor Kofi Abochi, VRA Senior Staff Storm Parliament of a proposed measure with Bui Power. There's more stories on my Joy online. And of course, you want to stay tuned on Joy 99.7 FM on Joy News, because we keep it an eye on developments in Parliament, and we'll bring that to you when the Speaker is ready to deliver his ruling on the 4 sitting members of Parliament. But until then, whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope is profitable. My name is Elton Gobe. See you same time tomorrow. Take care and good evening.